everyone, welcome back to Golf with Michelle. The topic I'm going to talk about is choking down on a club. Should we choke down on a club or not? Okay, that day I was playing golf with one of my students and they start asking me if they should choke down on the club or they shouldn't, and what situations they should or not. So first of all, choking down on the club means I'm holding it lower, but how much? I would suggest maybe just a little bit, about an inch. Depends on situations. If I'm hitting off the slope, yeah, I might have to hold it all the way down, or I'm stuck on the side of the bunker, yes, I might have to hold it down as well. But if you want to control distance or have more accuracy, I would suggest maybe just 1 inch to 2 inches down the grip is good enough. So number one, if I do choke it down, I will hit it a bit more. I won't say hit it more and be solid. I think it will give you a bit more accuracy, maybe a bit more solid. It really depends. Number two, we all know that it takes off a little bit of distance. So if we want to hit the shot a little bit shorter than what we normally do, you can choke down the club as well. So choking down the club, I would say for me, it would take out about 5 to 7 yards. Everyone is different. I always suggest that you test it out on the driving range. Just gotta make sure you bring a rangefinder or know where, how far your target is, and go with every single club. You do not want to try something you never practice on the golf course. So I'm gonna make sure you practice and test it out. Let's say your 7-iron goes about 150 yards. If your 8-iron goes 140, what about 145? Are you gonna hit a harder 8, or you're gonna choke down your 7-iron and maybe hit it about 143 yards or so. So everyone is different. Even though with the length of the club, the longer the club, the gap might get a bit bigger. So just gotta make sure you practice it, okay? Number three, I would say that choking down on the club is good when you have really windy condition, and especially when you're hitting into the wind, you want to keep the ball a bit low. So with choking down the club, it gives you a bit of a lesser spin, a lower ball flight, and of course, it has a more penetrating ball flight and more accuracy as well. So if you choke it down, it's good to play in a very windy situation. So choking down on the club will definitely give us more control because it's easier to hit on the center of the face, and then a little bit more accuracy as well. Just compare hitting your driver and your 7-iron. I would say that it's easier to hit a 7-iron than a driver. So obviously that the shorter the club, the easier to control it. I would say choking down is great, but sometimes if you do not practice, I don't suggest you to do that because there's a few things that it will affect your shot. Number one, if you choke it down, the club will get a bit stiffer, okay? And sometimes you might block the shot a bit towards the right side. Number two, you will create, of course, a lower ball flight, because if you don't practice it, you don't try it out, you do not know how low it's gonna go, you don't know how is it gonna react. So if you choke it down, the club gets a bit stiffer, the ball might go towards the right side, or the ball will stay a bit lower. And the other challenge I notice of some people is they will say that, okay, I want to lose about maybe 8 yards, just let me choke it down and set up. The next thing they top the ball. It's because when you choke it down, the club head is going to leave the ground a little bit more, right? So you got to make sure you adjust to it. So some people don't know how far they should adjust, and they hit a normal shot, they most probably top it, and they think it's a swing error, but not realizing it's just as simple as just the setup, all right? So I'm going to show you a few shots with my irons and my driver. Okay, for the driver, I think that choking down is really good when you have a really tight fairway. You want to keep it a bit low, it's a bit into wind. That will be a good shot to hit. Just you might take off a little bit of distance, but it'll give you a bit more run as well. So I think accuracy off the tee when it's very windy and very tight fairway is more important than having that full distance and you're in the trees, right? So there's a few things that you need to be careful if you choose to choke down. Number one, just gotta make sure you swing smooth, okay? Throughout the whole shot, you gotta make sure you swing smooth, because if you don't swing smooth and you just, some people when they know that they're choking down, sometimes they might try to hit it a bit harder on the way down. First of all, you lose your rhythm and you might not hit it as solid, and you kind of just throw away the purpose of choking it down. So you're gonna make sure you swing it smooth. Always try to always spend time on practicing it and adjust your setup. So if you choke it down about an inch, if I hold it normal over here, and if I do choke it down, I would definitely have to step a little closer, maybe an inch or two. All right, and just gonna make sure you keep your posture throughout the shot. Don't try to hit it hard, because when you hit it hard again, you might top it because you kind of early extend. Number 3, for choking down shots, I prefer not to finish the whole swing, okay, because trying to control distance, you don't really need to finish the swing when you choke down the club. All right, so those are the few things that you can practice on the driving range when you're working on choking down the club. So I'm going to show you a few shots on irons and driver. Okay, I have a 7-iron in my hand. I'm just going to hit a full shot. You guys might not be able to see it, but it's about 155 yards down to the blue flag in front of me. So I'm going to hit a full shot. Okay, give me the exact distance I want. And now I'm gonna choke it down by an inch. All right, choke it down by an inch. I'm gonna stand a tad closer. Okay, and I'm gonna make sure I swing smooth, good rhythm. And I wanna take about 8 yards off my regular shot. Yep, that's exactly what I wanted. So this is something that you can work even though with all your clubs. Yep, we want to be more accurate when it comes to our irons, so I would say that choking down is definitely a good option as well. And let's say for your 8-iron, 9-iron, pitching wedge, sometimes we really need to control the distance. So maybe you can work on choking down a little bit when it comes down to the wedges, with, let's say it goes to 70, 60, 50 yards. I personally prefer to control with the length of the swing, but there's nothing wrong if you want to choke it down. It's just that sometimes when you choke it down, let's say if I hit my 70 yards with normal grip, and then my 60 yards a bit lower, and then 50 yards a bit lower is, I mean, sometimes when you adjust too much over here, and then you have to adjust the setup, especially the wedges is the shortest club in the back. Sometimes when you hold it all the way down here, it's a bit hard to turn and it's a bit hard to control. So it's very personal, but you can just test it out. I always tell my students when we are playing a shorter distance, let's say pitching or like 100 yards and in, I would suggest you want to feel like you're throwing darts. You don't want to send the ball too high up in the air, you know, and sometimes you can get a bit out of control. So try to be in control with all your shots. And for the driver, it's the same thing. You can choke it down as well. If you do choose to choke it down, just gotta make sure you adjust your setup as well. So now I'm gonna go full swing with the driver. And now I'm gonna choke it down. If I choke it down, I would expect it to be a bit, the ball flight to be a bit lower. I will lose some distance, but hopefully more accuracy. So everything is the same. Just gotta make sure I stand a bit closer. I choke it down by about 2 inches over here. As I mentioned, just gotta make sure you swing smooth. And this will be a good shot to go if you have a really tight fairway or very windy situation. Alright guys, that's all I have for this video. Hopefully this video will be able to give you an idea or options on if you should choke down or you shouldn't choke down and at a certain situation. So golf is always different every day, and I always prefer to have a variety of shots in the back. So I'm going to make sure you know what you're doing. Going to make sure you practice, spend time, and actually know your shots and your game. All right, that will definitely help you to score better and enjoy the game better as well. So again, choke it down. Any club you can choke it down, I suggest just gonna know how much you choke down. Some people even practice with like taping the butt of the club just by a little bit and make sure they hold the same position every time and know the distance. Sometimes I notice I might hit it even more solid, or it might give me the same distance. Just gotta make sure you know all these things. Like for me, it may be just about, I might only be able to take off about 5 yards off the club. Some people can take off 8 yards. Some people might only take about 2-3 yards off the shot. So you gotta make sure you know your game, all right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys think there's some of your friends that might benefit from this, do share it. Leave me a comment. I'll see you guys again soon.